Welcome everybody. My name is Ken Wargo. I am the chairman of the Civil War Monument Restoration Committee. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, about 2 years ago when I found this monument, it was completely different from what we would see today. It was very overgrown, it was dark with mold, there's a lot of damage that had occurred over the years. One of the things I was looking for was a project around the 10th anniversary of 9/11 to contribute to the community. When I had seen this monument, I realized that this is a project that is a massive undertaking, but one that was very worthwhile. Little did I know the adventure I'd be getting on. So what I'd like to do is that I'd like to start by reading one of the inscriptions on the monument, because a lot of people have never seen those inscriptions. They have been so lost to time. Now that we've actually cleaned the monument, scrubbed it clean, you can actually see and appreciate some of the inscriptions that are on this monument. Rest on, embalmed and sainted dead, dear as the blood ye gave. No impious footsteps here shall tread the herbage of your grave. Nor shall your glory be forgot, while fame her record keeps, or honor points the hallowed spot where valor proudly sleeps. Now this monument was dedicated in 1870. It was the work of prominent Delavan citizens such as the Arams, James Aram and Susan Aram. To fill in a little bit of the story about the Arams, you may recognize the name from the public library. The Arams were some of the most wealthiest citizens in Walworth County. They contributed a lot to Delavan because they had 3 children that died during childhood years, which was quite common back then. The Arams are actually buried directly opposite of this monument. But when James Aram passed away, most of his estate, or his will, was set up so that the area of Delavan would benefit from it. Susan Aram passed away years later, and the star-shaped walkways can be attributed to her. In the corner, in the far corner over here, during excavation we actually discovered that her name was stamped in the corner, presented by Mrs. Susan Aram. So we know that the walkways came after the monument because the original dedication in 1870 did not mention the walkways. But the fact that these star-shaped walkways were put in by intentional design, you can see from the helicopter photo that it's a perfect star. Now the reason they chose a star was because it represents the Grand Army of the Republic. So it was an amazing symbol that they would take so much time and dedication to lay them out in a precise star pattern. Now, the person who actually built the monument, his name is John Bassi. He came from Italy in 1868 to Delavan. He was a sculptor that worked in Italian cathedrals, and what you're seeing behind me is 10 tons of Italian marble and limestone. Now the detail that is put within this monument, from the eagle to the flag draped around the column, to the cross swords, to the cannons, to the design of the inscriptions, this was all done by hand, and he was an amazing artisan. In fact, he has actually laid the rest just right behind us. Now, with the importance of the Civil War, 2 years after John Bassi had gotten here, he had this monument completed and dedicated in May of 1870. Now, what I'd like to do is, if you'd like to come around to the back here, I'm going to share with you the inscription was written.
What city was John Bassi from? He wasn't local.
Well, he came from Italy, almost.
Porto, right on the like Porto Coso or Porto
It's
Cosi,
something very similar
something
to
like
that,
that.
yes.
So he didn't die here in Delavan, did he?
Yes, he did.
He did die here?
Yeah, he's laid the rest right over there in the free marker. Currently, we have a project underway to restore the monument, but we have to replace the foundation. We also have to replace the sidewalks. We also have to do minor repairs. This project has been a massive undertaking, but it's been a journey of a lifetime. Within 2 years, we've gotten the monument to what you see today. My hope is that our committee and to our citizens and people who have sponsored us from around the country, that they continue to support the values for which these men have died for, that they fought for our nation, and that this is something we could share with everybody, because it is an important part of not just Delavan history, but American history. Are there any questions?
Yes. Do you know what they use to clean it off with?
We found a product called D2, which is a product that they developed for the dental industry. However, they found that it's such a powerful cleaner that they've used it on presidential estates, they've used it on statues, they've used it on sculptures. A manufacturer has just informed me that they've been using it on the Washington Monument, but it's a product that has a variety of uses.
So before they had preserved it, you couldn't see any of the
It was
inscriptions?
black. It was black.
I saw it before it was clean.
And how long did it take to bring it to the state?
The product soaked in and worked within a few days. I mean, almost immediately there's a lot of difference. But originally, this was black and gray, and when we started cleaning it, it's like, what did we do wrong? It's like, it's tan. What is it? All this is limestone. And it's bright. That's what they made the pyramids out of. So it's like when it shines in the sun, it's extremely bright. The Italian marble is from here on up, and eventually when we have it polished and cleaned and re-etched the letters, it'll look incredible. But I mean, even right now, it's a bright, beautiful monument.
It's not finished.
Oh, it's a work in progress.
Will you put any kind of seal on the marble, because that's pretty...
That's what we'll eventually do.
Is there,
The most important thing is
is
that
there
we-
one that doesn't damage the marble that's a pretty good one? Is there a
Oh yeah,
research
well I mean
you
we've
use?
been looking at different manufacturers, and there's companies that specialize in marble products. Any other
So will
questions?
they have to remove all of this?
They're going to have to move it to pour a new foundation, yes. But the thing is that these steps actually, they may have caused more damage than good, because the steps that they've laid out created more of a horizontal surface, which created more problems with freeze and thaw. So the steps have separated. They tried to fix them with staples, and they've cracked. Some of the pieces are in really bad shape. Some of them, we're not sure what we'll be able to do with them. They're cracked, and structurally, the most important thing is to preserve the monument. So the idea is to...
Totally replace the limestone then?
Well, we're going to have to do something. The thing is that the most important thing is we have to set the foundation underneath the monument first, because the monument's shifting a little bit. There's vertical cracks, there's horizontal cracks, there's cracks and fissures that are developing throughout. The most important thing is to find out what's going to be the best solution to keep this for hundreds of years.
Based on their analysis, would they ever have to look at it and decide that it needs to be indoors in order for it to be preserved, and have to build some type of indoor structure for it to be...
Well, that would actually be the best solution.
Just because you take a look at our Wisconsin
Oh, yeah.
weathers and storms, and
Oh, yeah.
you know, and then obviously there would be a cost to that, but it could be built into a museum as well. And
Oh, absolutely.
and
Well,
just, you know,
the thing is that this is actually in the center of the original cemetery. This was actually the centerpiece of the community, because this original cemetery actually had a band shell, and like I said, 4,000 people came out at 6 o'clock in the morning, and this was the place to be in Delavan in 1870. And in fact, it was the best place to be from anywhere around this region. Of course, with the freeze and thaw cycles we have, the wind, I mean, you see the trees fall down every now and again. You can actually even see the weathering, where the weathering comes from the top down on the monument. So that realistically, it could be indoors, but it would be really hard to relocate a monument that was dedicated by the founders that, intended for this to be right here. And if you look at any map, this really falls within the crossroads of Delavan, because it wasn't just that it was here for what would be the city of Delavan, it was for all of Delavan, it was for the entire community.
Ken, did the sculptor get his idea for the eagle on top from Old Abe, the mascot of the Wisconsin troops?
That could be.
He
The thing
doesn't
is-
say though, does he?
The thing is that it's very hard to go back and try to second guess what they originally designed.
It looks just like the representation.
And it's beautiful, yeah. And one of the things that we've discovered is that if you look at the eagle, and the way the eagle's looking, he stares exactly over to where the Aram tomb is, or where the Arams are buried. Now, could that be a coincidence? I don't know. It's like you really kind of have to line up and figure out what he's looking at. But Alan Bazell, who's climbed this monument for many Memorial Days, before the monument was unsafe, he actually pointed that out. He says, I wonder what that eagle's looking at. I said, well, if you look straight across, it's like, that's where the Arams are buried. So, coincidence, possibly. Intentionally, I don't know. The Arams did pay or finance for the monument, so it could be a possibility that, you know, that's the way they wanted it to be. The other thing too is that the American Legion holds their ceremony at the back of the monument. So for Memorial Day, their ceremonies face east. So the tricky thing is that the monument faces west, which kind of throws everything off because the ceremony and the regulations that go along with the ceremony came after the monument was built. So if you're here for Memorial Day, the ceremony always takes place at the back of the monument, and they'll put a podium back here. Realistically, the most important part of this monument is the front face, where we have the Roll of Honor. And that's where the names are inscribed, those that gave their lives for this country. And since then, we've come to recognize that for the 108 casualties of war that came from Delavan. They did give their lives for the country, and we're deeply grateful for their sacrifice. Any other questions?
How soon do you expect to start this? Next spring?
Well, we could start very soon. We're in the middle of a fundraiser. We have a goal of $20,000. We've currently hit $15,000, and donations just keep coming in. We could actually start within weeks if we have all the funds secured. So we are very close to actually getting underway and beginning the next step of this project.
There are actually some fundraising items and actually a very nice brochure about the monument and its history, the Arams, John Bossy, and the symbolism on the monument for $10 for sale, and that all goes toward the monument preservation.
So definitely, if you'd like to pick up a copy, they're limited edition and they're great to have. They got some great pictures in there. I encourage all of you to pick up a copy if you can. I got a couple myself.
Are you going to save her name when you tear up the sidewalk?
We intend to, yes. The problem is that if you look at the far corner over here, it's a very faint stamp, and the sidewalks are very thin. They're only about an inch thick. So we will do everything in our power to try to preserve it.
Which one? This one? Alright, I don't see it. Is it right here?
So we'll do everything
Oh my
to
God.
preserve this in the best way that we can, but it's a very difficult project because it's kind of in a place that
There's actually a very good picture of it. It's very clear in the booklet if it's hard to see here.
So in the middle of excavating and cleaning and washing down the walkways, we actually found a stamp that says presented by Mrs. Susan Aram. So we will try to reincorporate that back into the
So
monument.
are we looking at it this way? I think there's or that way. Is that a P here?
It's.
that
I
a
think
P?
this is the PR presented. Here's the
Originally, no.
TED.
I'm from
by-
California, but I
And
ended
then
up
it's
transplanting to the Midwest.
Somewhere, it's
and,
Susan,
you know, things like
and then
Okay.
I think
Follow
Aram
away.
is, Aram is over here,
really?
but it's kind of covered up again.
there's an awful lot that you can find, you know, just looking around.